Good evening and a very warm welcome to this edition of Public Forum. I'm Shalini Verma. It was the first day of the winter session of the Parliament and both the houses were adjourned for the day following the uproar on the UPA government's decision allowing FDI in the retail sector. An attempt by former UPA ally Trinamool Congress to bring a no-confidence motion against the government over this issue also failed in the Lok Sabha for want of the requisite numbers. All this resulted in familiar scenes of pandemonium and adjournments. As the face-off between the ruling and the opposition continues both inside and outside the House, we in Public Forum discuss the grim picture of parliamentary democracy. Mr. M.B. Rajesh from the CPIM, Mr. Madhu Yaski from the Congress, and Dr. Kirit Bhai Solanki from the BJP. Welcome to the program, all of you. Let's start with probably you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, because we keep asking our respected MPs a number of times as to why the question hour is disrupted, why do we see these scenes of pandemonium in the House. But I would like to ask you, how do you really respond to it as a journalist who's been covering Parliament for so many years now?
No, today the issue is not that of a question hour. People of this country were expecting the Parliament to take up major issues like the corruption, so many other things.
We find many takers today.
Well, we still consider our former ally as a good friend, but it's unfortunate to see that she couldn't find any people who can trust in their motion, which she want to move a no confidence on the government. Not every administrative
and between the CPI and the CPM also to an extent. How do you really look at the way Trinamool Congress tried to approach you, and you also maintained a very stiff stand here that you're not ready for this kind of a no confidence motion, but of course you want to take on the government on the FDI issue.
The history and tradition of Trinamool Congress is such that nobody can.
The rules so important? Why is the discussion not important, which the government is also offering?
No. See, basically our party is absolutely against the FDI in multi-brand retail. It's a very clear-cut stand, and in the 1 year before also, in December 2011, our party stance was very clear. I'm really happy that, see, the collective, all the opposition is unanimous on the opposing the FDI. The ways may be different, as there is a different ways for Trinamool Congress. See, what I understand that FDI, this government is trying to divide the opposition, and this time today on the opening day of this session,
they want to bring in this FDIs. Here they're just playing in a vote bank politics to address those middlemen and the small traders, which is traditionally their supporters. My friend, Mr.
I would like to clarify on this no confidence motion versus 184. The point is, the no confidence motion sought to be moved by Sudeep Bandyopadhyaya also talks about FDI retail, how it can cause havoc to millions of small traders. Now,
time for a very short break here in Public Forum. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Public Forum. In Public Forum today, we are discussing the FDI ROW and the uproar that was caused in the Lok Sabha today. That's right, and the moment we start talking about the Aam Aadmi, well, his faith in India's public institutions starts waning away with every passing minute, because we know that every minute of the Parliament is certainly precious and it really costs the Exchequer a lot of damage. But here, very important and crucial point, sir, which is being generally said, especially about these issues like the FDI and some other problems, some other issues, is that the government is more criticized, not just by...
This is the problem with the coalition governments, Shalini. It is going to continue with this. But what the government doing is very transparently. See, when Rajiv ji introduced this computer system, computer education in telecommunication revolution, The same party, the opposition BJP party, said that with this once computer comes, people are going to lose the jobs. But today you can see the millions of jobs have been created for Indian youth, not only within India and abroad. So the kind of transformation which brought in and revolution which brought in into the system, and millions of jobs have been created. So again there's a misconception of through the FDI in retail sector we'll lose the jobs, which is not true. You may see few jobs losing of these middle traders. I have lived in America. I have seen this pop and mom stores still exist by the side of Walmart stores. So it's going to benefit farmers. You can see before UPA came into power, it is 800 or 900 rupees for paddy. Now it's 1600 rupees. So this introducing this FDI, how it's going to benefit the country.
You know, one thing is very clear here, Dr. Solanki, that is the state governments, the union territories, they will be free to implement.
They absolutely.
Yeah, they always have this option, whether they want to really implement it or not, whether they really want to have it or not. Then why is this level of confusion created around this subject?
See, before I reply this question, I will reply the earlier reply of my colleague. Okay, the BJP is having the dual standard. In fact, the dual standard is with Congress government. See, the Prime Minister, present Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji, when he was the opposition leader in the Rajya Sabha, while the regime of the NDA, he has written a letter opposing the FDI in a multi-brand retail to some organization from Mumbai. He has written a letter and he has vehemently opposed.
That means that India was introducing FDI at that time.
No, not introducing. See, the talks were going on.
Welcome back to Public Forum. In Public Forum today we are discussing the uproar in Lok Sabha over the FDI ROW. 00115313. And before going into the break, we certainly were talking about the arguments both for and against FDI in the multi-brand retail sector, in the retail sector particularly. But we can have different opinions on that. But it's very important for us sitting here in Lok Sabha television to discuss as to which way exactly our parliamentary democracy is heading, because we are not allowing the House to function smoothly. You also said, Mr. Chandrasekhar, that it was pretty disappointing for you as a journalist because you were expecting some sort of action to take place, some discussion to take place today in the House. But why is this trend becoming so popular today?
That's because, I would say that...
So the number of sittings of Lok Sabha has come down from a yearly average of 124 in the first decade of 1952 to 61 to about 81 between 1992 and 2001, a decline of about 35%. And moreover, it is also said that the present Lok Sabha seems to be the most disrupted one in the last 25 years. That's a research by the PRS Legislative Research which says that. And as I was talking about the loss of hours and the loss of, what would it really mean for an exchequer? Well, 1 minute loss, each minute of parliament actually costs about 26,035 rupees to an exchequer. But there have been a lot of talks about how exactly can we improve the functioning of the parliament. Mr. Chandrasekhar, would like to come to you here first. One of them has been that increase the number of sittings in the House. And that could be mandatory 100 sittings of the parliament, though it seemed to be very impractical.
You're saying the number is